Hello and welcome to Ecom Elites, the podcast where we dive into the minds of leaders, innovators, and trailblazers in the e-commerce space. I'm your host, Jake the Wizard, and I'm here to bring you the real insights from real people who've navigated the ups and the downs of building successful online businesses. In each episode, we talk about the wins, the losses, and the lessons that make a difference. If you're in the e-commerce space and you're just starting your journey or you're looking to up your strategy game, this is the place for you to be. Today, I've got with me Daniel Walton. Daniel, what's up?
Hi, Jake. You okay? Great to be here. Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm good. It's a beautiful day. You're across the pond from me, so it's got to be, early evening for you there?
It is, yeah. So well, everybody knows in e-commerce the day never ends, but our natural working day has kind of come to a close probably a couple of hours ago. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I don't want to spoil it. Can you give us the 90-second overview of OLPRO?
Yeah, so we are a predominantly e-commerce business, but we design, manufacture, and sell camping equipment. So for anybody that wants to get out there and have an adventure, whether it be solo camping, whether it be, some of my references might be a little bit odd to some of your American viewers, but if it's somebody who wants to nip off to Scotland for a weekend and climb a mountain, we do that sort of stuff. But we also do the really cool stuff for families as well. So if people want to go away for a week, want to enjoy camping, then that's great. And one of our big areas of our business is for people that have camper vans. So whether it be surfing or whether it be, going to a festival in a camper van, we do the awnings that go on the side of those. So it's a really kind of adventurous brand. It's all about getting people out there, enjoying the great outdoors, big focus on sustainability. And I've probably gone massively over the 90 seconds that you said.
No, it's
explaining what my brand is.
I love it. I love it. Now, I have been camping 7 times in my life, and 7 times it has rained while I camp. So I understand the value of having good camping gear and protection. How'd you get into it?
Well, just on that point, just imagine what it's like in the UK where it rains 365 days of the year. So it's definitely important. So I think like a lot, I grew up in a place called Sheffield. It's on the edge of the Peak District. It's a big climbing area, big walking area. And I was looking at when I was growing up, my uncle used to run a climbing shop. So me and my brother, my younger brother, we used to go out climbing a lot. We spent a lot of time hiking. So sort of always kind of had a love for the outdoors. And then sort of growing up, I got into gaming a lot. So I started programming, kind of was there for kind of the advent of the sort of dawn of the internet. So the sort of two things sort of really did combine later on in life that I went into the career of working for camping brands and camping shops. At some point decided I don't like working for other people. And I think that they were probably relieved as well, to be fair. I think a lot of us that go out and start up businesses and make a go of it are people that just cannot work with other people. So we have to go and do it ourselves. So did that. But then alongside that as well, sort of, I think it's good to do something if you could do something in the world that you love, where you enjoy. And the outdoors for me was kind of the way. So that's how I got into it, sort of, 15 years working in the industry, a sort of love for the outdoors and the sort of the adventures that are linked with it. And that sort of brought OLPRO about.
Awesome. I love that. I actually lived in Banbury for 2 years.
Oh, right. Okay. So you know the rain.
I know the rain. I don't miss that. I do miss my chippy. So you work for some people, you see kind of some gaps. What's the story to the first product?
Okay, so I was a director. I got to the point of being a director in several kind of relatively big businesses, and the last company that I worked for before setting up OLPRO, I'd be sat there in product meetings, doodling away on a pad, coming up with ideas, and they would be rejected. So I was working for a company that had existed for a long time. They were sort of 40, 50-year-old business, and they did what they did, and they didn't want to do anything outside that kind of little wheelhouse that they had. So the things I was coming up with, I mean, I got told off one day for doodling. So, and you kind of get to a point, you think, if you've got faith in what you're drawing and the ideas you've got coming forward, you sort of think, okay, this could have legs, this could have something. And then, the decision to leave a company where you're made for life and, it's very comfortable is a difficult one. And the days after you've made that decision, you're actually, going to your own office and the phone isn't ringing anymore and people aren't particularly interested in what you're doing. That's quite difficult. But, sort of sticking with it and sticking with faith in what you're doing. And you asked about the first product. We also had no money. There was no money whatsoever in the business. I just sort of just set off and kind of, thought we're going to do this. So what I decided to do was to do kind of quite low-end, low-value product to start with and build my way up. I always wanted to do tents. I always wanted to do camper awnings. But we started by doing melamine plates and tableware. And the key difference was, and obviously that's the reason that stood us apart from anything, is we designed everything. So it was me, a couple of other people, and we just started designing everything. So everything that we did and we were taking to retailers, we'd created, we'd drawn the designs, we got it made, we took it. And people, I mean, melamine, for example, great example. A lot of melamine that was already on the market were copied off wallpaper prints. So what existing companies would do is take a wallpaper print, take it to China and say, make this, put this on a plate. But we were drawing stuff. And the trade, the traditional trade, when we went and showed them these things, was saying, well, we don't like that. It's too different. It's too funky. People won't like it. And that's when we made the move to start selling it ourselves and put it on a website. And that was a big change for us. We just decided, let's go direct with this. Let's sell this to the end user. And that's kind of where the success started to come through. And then from selling lots of lower value product, we got eventually to the point of designing and making and selling tents.
So I want to spin back that wheel a little bit because I think there's a gem in there. You said you got started with functionally no money in an e-commerce space. Well, it wasn't e-commerce initially, but
no.
Planning to sell a product. That's a scary proposition. How did you balance ordering or creating product with the sales cycle that you were seeing? Like that's terrifying.
There's kind of a big element of stupidity in it, and kind of going out and doing it. And definitely looking back now, and I think maybe I was younger. I don't know. Maybe there was a moment, and I know when it was. I was stood in the shower one morning, and I thought, if I don't sell something this month, I don't get paid at the end of it. And I've gone from a point of being paid a good salary, regardless of what I did, because I got a proven background of being good at being able to deliver things. But now that didn't matter anymore. It was all on me to do this thing. And of course, I've got a background in sales, but I've not got a background in any other element of the business. I could program, I could code, I understood websites. I'd worked for lastminute.com when I left university, so I'd sort of seen the advent of the .com boom. So I had some grounding, but not really in what I needed to be doing. And I think the things that got me through that were just a lot of hard work and just a lot of research. Importantly, I think being there at the right time, a lot of the sort of first moments of certain things. So as Instagram got big, we were there. I mean, I go back to those times. Our biggest mission was to be big on Twitter, which seems like a ridiculous idea now. But that was the challenge then. And I think as these things changed and moved, obviously with TikTok now, that's a big thing for us. Long may it continue. But it is, as these things come around, as AI has come around, it's just been important for us to be there at the beginning of all of it. So I think researching, being on top of the game. The beautiful thing about e-commerce, it always changes, it never stays the same. Mm-hmm. So no one day can ever really be the same in terms of what you're trying to do and things. And even back then, I think that was the case. I think I was just interested in what I was doing. Mm-hmm. And yeah, but a lot of stupidity still to go and do that.
No, I mean, you're here now. Someone's got to take the risks, right? There's no money if there's no risk. When you made that decision to go from kind of a retailer model to e-com, what were kind of the big transition steps and how did you maneuver to, I'm sure you had a slight, dip in revenue for a bit while you kind of recovered with a public brand, but like, what were the steps you took to do that?
The biggest thing is customer services. The biggest change was that we were going to be coming in contact directly with the customer. And there were massive pros to that, which obviously helped to develop the brand even further because we had a one-to-one communication then with the end user, Whereas obviously selling through a retailer, the majority of your feedback, definitely sort of pre-2015, when we were predominantly retail, was coming through a third party. So it was being filtered. So we were being told this doesn't sell or that does sell, but that depended on a whole host of factors. Whether they preferenced it over another brand, whether they were, discounting it in any way. There were all sorts of issues around that. As soon as we went direct, we decided how our brand looked. So when we presented it on the website, it was under all of our brand guidelines. So obviously basic things like the fonts and the colours we used were all correct. The descriptions were spot on, so and we could change things as we needed to change them. We could also kind of play around with things, do a lot of A/B testing on the website in terms of actually do customers prefer this presented in this way or said in this way or that way. That was great. But then also customer feedback in terms of customer services. So clearly if something went wrong or somebody wasn't happy, we then need a team of people to be able to deal with that. And of course, bringing it forward to now, that's changing. So obviously development of AI in and amongst what we do. We're doing a major project around our online chat, our email responses, because we're generally online between 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. But then on a weekend, when a lot of our customers are out using the product, we're not there. But utilising AI, we can make sure that we are. So
that's excellent. I think embracing the changes in the technology, moving forward with that, especially in the e-commerce space, because you are just so digital and those things can get wired in. That's fantastic. When you made that shift, let's talk marketing for a second. What avenues were you seeing that were really driving maybe the first time sale for somebody, and then what avenues, as we know with e-commerce, we're bringing people back a second time, a third time, a fourth time?
Yeah, so definitely it's always been, I mean, there are various ways in which we sort of obviously drive traffic to us. We still do a lot of real world events, so we're actually out there talking to people in the real world, whether it be at festivals or events where campers go to. But one of the real key things for us has always been around pay-per-click. Kind of almost unfortunately, we still have to invest a lot in pay-per-click, and I think that will, at least for the short to medium term, always be the case. But in terms of once we got them, the key was whether we could convert them into a customer that first time. And I think the metric that we've always used is if we get to a point of we're converting to a certain level, then increase the footfall, drive the number of people we can get to the website. That's the next thing to do. We're converting them, drive them. The next element of that is then retaining them as a customer and making sure they're coming back for more and that they feel involved. A big driver for us in that is content. So once people buy from us, they'll get regular emails about the upkeep of the product that they bought. It's specific to the product, so they're not just getting irrelevant emails, but it'll be an email around, okay, you bought this tent, this is how to look after it. There'll be a second email at some point saying these are the products that can go with that tent. And then further down the line, there might be things around, don't forget you've got a warranty, or this is a spares website. So you can kind of like keep people looked after whilst they've got that product. And it's not just again, going back to how in the way how the industry used to be, it was very much pile it high, sell it cheap with tents. It was just, okay, somebody's going to buy a tent, they're probably going to use it once and then bin it. So let's just, let's not care too much about that customer. Whereas for us, it's very much about this is a longer term relationship, and so we email them in that way. We also have on Facebook, which is obviously a big place for forums. We have a specific forum where people can join, and it's not just us then engaging with them. It's other members of what we refer to as our tribe engaging with each other. Again, getting the best out of product, talking about trips they've been on, adventures and things. And so that kind of continuous engagement beyond the purchase, I think, is the way to kind of keep people engaged. And for me, thinking of any industry that I'm sort of interested in, whether it be gaming or music or things like that, again, I think about going to see a film. I go and see a film, and then one of the first things I'll do is I'll go on IMDb and see what other people have said about it. I'll look at forums. If I really like the film, I'll join a forum.
Yeah,
and kind of get engaged about it. So, and that's just a film that I might pay £7 to go and see, whereas a tent that you've spent £800 on, you kind of do want to engage and talk about it. So, and that's what that's what e-commerce and the internet and the kind of all beautiful thing kind of gives us now, isn't it? A chance to add value to a simple purchase, I think. So there's a lot, and it evolves. It evolves so much.
Absolutely. I think it's important to know that your business today will not be your business in 3 years, which will not be your business in 5. It's going to keep moving, and you have to move with it. So speaking to that, one question we always ask, and it's one of my favorite questions: what was the biggest mistake that you made? And if you could go back, would you have tackled it differently? What would you do?
Yeah, so I would say there was a time we've made lots of mistakes, and the reason why I'm thinking is I'm trying to narrow it down to just one of them. There was a point where we were offered a contract to produce our own brand for somebody else, and we took our eye off the ball on our own brand whilst we were doing that. So I think the lesson we kind of learned from that was that all the product that we create goes out under the OLPRO name, under the OLPRO brand, and the one mission that we've always endeavoured to do is ensure that OLPRO is known as a brand within our industry. So if you look at camping wider, some people will know brands, people will know Coleman, Van Gogh, whatever, but man in the street doesn't. A person, if you catch them in a pub, if you said, okay, name a 10 brand, they're probably not going to know one. And that's kind of our mission. That is kind of above and beyond, making lots of money or whatever, or, increasing the sustainability within the industry that we've got. It is being known as a brand. And I would say the kind of almost year that we took out to develop somebody else's product meant that we didn't develop what we were doing ourselves. And the lesson I learned from that is not to get distracted,
Yeah.
And if you're going to do something like that, ensure that your brand remains kind of a part of it as well.
Yeah, that's huge. I don't remember who said this, but a yes to something is a no to something else.
Yeah.
And I think that's really critical. So what's next for OLPRO? What's next for you? Are we new product? Like where are you going next? What's the 2025 vision?
So the 2025 vision is a really cool one, really exciting, because we sort of started the journey in 2020. We sort of went fully direct in 2015. And then in 2015, we set out a target, which we called OLPRO 2020. So the idea was to get to 2020 with a specific kind of set of goals in place, certainly around what we did with sustainability, what we did on exporting product, particularly around the rest of Europe, and what we were looking to do with the brand in terms of the growth of product. The aim then was, when we got to 2020, was to introduce OLPRO 2025. And incredibly, as time does, we're now here. We're now in 2025, incredibly. And part of the aim we were looking to do was to develop the existing range. So to look back at what comments have been made about particular key products. So we've got real kind of hero products that we sell very, very well, that we're really well known for. And those products have pretty much stayed the same since launch in 2015. So the decision was made that we would revisit all those products, all the key ones, and we'd relaunch them as V2 versions. So these would be redeveloped products which were all fueled by feedback from customers. So it wasn't so much we think we should do this, it's okay, we keep getting asked this over and over again. We did surveys based on what we presumed people were asking us, just to double down and make sure that that was the case. And we relaunched all the products. So towards the back end of last year, we sort of dead-ended all the existing products, brought in all the new stuff. We then also added, so one thing we've never really done is offer a whole host of accessories, OLPRO accessories. And one of the great things about us now is that people know the brand, people are liking what we do, they want to buy other products from us. So as well as buying a tent or a chair, so people come to buy a tent, they buy an OLPRO chair, buy an OLPRO sleeping bag, but they can't get some of the basics, so things like pegs or washing up bowls, or I'm trying to think what else we now do. There's 150 new accessories that we've sort of added on, and these are all, and again, from an e-commerce perspective, it's great because they're all like little nice add to basket. You bought your tent, what else can you buy whilst you're here? And also can bring people back to us as well, keep them engaged. So that's been really interesting. So that's the big plan now, is to kind of continue to develop this range of products, which, again, we want to stand out. We want it to be slightly different. There's a sustainable kind of bent to everything that we do. So around recycled product and recycling the product after it's been used. So that's a big thing for us. I think just expanding the range, but in a way that works for our customers as well.
I love that. That's fantastic. If I'm interested in getting some OLPRO products, where can I find you?
So we are typically online at allproshop.com. So just pop along there. And then obviously on social media, we cross all of them. So obviously we're on Instagram, Facebook. From a business perspective, we're on LinkedIn as well. So I'd encourage anybody to, get in touch with us, ask questions, talk to us. And obviously if anybody wants to attend, we're definitely the place to come. Excellent.
Well, Daniel, I really appreciate your time and sharing your wisdom and just your cool nature. We don't often talk to a lot of innovators, in-house innovators on this podcast. And it's really refreshing to see someone who is not taking something else from somewhere else, but really bringing something fresh that's coming out of your soul. So I appreciate you sharing that with me.
Thank you, Jake. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. If you like this podcast, you found some value in it, do leave comments, follow us, and stay tuned next time for the next Ecom Leads podcast. I'm Jake the Wizard. I'll catch you next time.